Boo. And if you didn't hear it the first time, boo. Morning, everybody. Welcome to the Joe and Joe Weather Show on this Sunday morning, Halloween. The Joe and Joe Weather Show brought to you by Omni True Value Hardware at 1226 North Wellwood Avenue in West Babylon, New York. They are well supplied with a lot of salt, and there is a general shortage. Prices are high, and Omni has the lowest prices anywhere in the tri-state area on any snow melt products, including Pelleto and mag ice pellets and flakes and anything else you need to get you through this upcoming winter. They're at 1226 North Wellwood Avenue in West Babylon, New York, 631-756-1125. The website, omnitruevalue.com. Wholesale holiday lighting by Giannini, because as you know, the sprint is going to accelerate now from once we get to Halloween. It's just one long day from November 1st to December 25th. They're your complete holiday lighting specialists, meeting all your decorating needs to make your house, whoops, that wasn't supposed to happen. To make your house, that wasn't supposed to happen. All right, hold on a second. I got to do this quickly. There he is, the snowman and the penguin and the countdown clock, Santa Claus, the snowmen standing on their shoulders, or as we always say, no house should be without a elf on a shelf. And they're at 162 Ocean Avenue in Lindenhurst, New York, 631-957-5106, and the website is liholidaylighting.com. Yes, Groucho, good morning. The sprint begins.
Well, hi. How are all of you this morning on this Halloween?
You're not the Grouch? Who are you supposed to be?
Oh, if you want me to be Groucho Marx, I can. Welcome to You Bet Your Life. You'll never get the spoiler Jeopardy question.
Right.
Say the secret word, you win $1,000.
And a bonus spin.
And it's a common word, something you do almost any day.
Yes, exactly. Mark.
Well, this is the best I was able to do for Halloween.
Oh, good. Well, that's more than me. After the show, I'm going to disappear. I'm going to disappear for the afternoon. I'm a big Grinch when it comes to Halloween. Michael McGuire's not being a Grinch this morning. He hit Super Chat. Thank you, Michael. First, he says, enjoyed the crisp low 40s this morning, already warming rapidly up to near 60. First freeze might be, well, late this week. Yeah, at least for inland spots, Joe, it does look like, everything seems to be playing according to plan. We're going to, for the way it looks to me, it's a stair-step decline temperature-wise as we go through the first 4 days of this week. And Thursday morning, we could be waking up to temperatures below freezing in inland spots.
Well, it's about time. I mean, we're going to transition to November tomorrow, and so far it has been balmy, to say the least. And I didn't check at the temperature this morning locally, but certainly it's none too cold out there when I stepped out to get the newspaper. So, and I understand, Joe, that we made it all the way down to the end of the tropical storm hurricane list. We've got a new storm out there, although it's only of subtropical category. But Wanda is out there now.
You wonder why it happened, but it did. Yes. I got the satellite loop of subtropical storm Wanda. It's a million miles away in the middle of nowhere, but you can certainly see this actually just kind of separated from the old nor'easter, apparently, and it's completely devoid of fronts, and it's actually got not a half bad looking satellite presentation there as it swirls away. This is a floater loop, so it looks like it's going to the west, but it's actually not. It's moving east-southeast. The floater loops mean that when you watch them, the storm stays near the center of the picture, and the geography actually, those latitude and longitude lines actually move. It's at, for those of you who plot every storm that occurs, it's at 36.5 and 43.9 west. Top winds are about 50 miles an hour. It's moving east-southeast at about 16 miles an hour. And you see it's going to start to turn more northeast and then north, and then take its start to maybe accelerate a little bit later on this week, and gradually just get absorbed by or become just a subtropical system as it heads on out to the northeast. So yeah, it just checks off another name out of the way. But no hurricanes in the month of October, and apparently, I didn't really check the Pacific to see what was going on, but I assume that there are no major hurricanes out in the Western Pacific, which talked about last week, that since the end of September, there hasn't been a major hurricane anywhere in the Northern Hemisphere. And that's since 1950, that's only happened twice, in 1977 and in 1978. So if you want to make the connection between those two years and the winters that follow, it's a data set of all of two, okay? All of two in that data set, but that's what you have and that's what you work with.
Yeah, and it is kind of small. I wouldn't put too much emphasis on that, but as we mentioned last week, the winter of 76, 77 was a cold winter, and we did have a couple of that was the winter, Joe, of the Groundhog Day storm of February 2nd, 1976, one of the most dramatic and most potent storms I can remember.
I have to stop you because it was July of 77, so you really have to look at the winter of 77, 78. And then July of 70. So I'm sorry, it was the hurricane season of 77, so it's the subsequent winter, 77, 78, and then 78, 79. Right. You were right about the cold winter, because 78, 77, 78 was a cold winter, and it broke the 8-year drought of no 1 foot plus snowstorms in New York City.
Well, we had two in 78. We had the one that was, surprise, on January 20th. That was supposed to be mostly rain. Right. And it just kept snowing and snowing and snowing until we got like 15 or 20 inches. And then 17 days later, we had the infamous blizzard of 78, which dumped, officially in New York City, we had what, 15, 16 inches? Come on now. I mean, we had at least 20 or 25 inches out of that. That's because the guys over at the Weather Service were only measuring off the tops of cars, I think, back then.
on 51st Street.
Yeah.
With a 40-story building on one side and a 30-story building on the other.
And I had 22.1 inches with that storm, and that was the one that dumped like 50 inches in parts of Rhode Island.
Yes.
So that was a monster in terms of snow accumulations. Boston got shut down for many, many days, and the following winter, 78, 79, we had the President's Day storm on February 17th and 18th, and that dumped a quickie foot and a half on parts of the tri-state area. So, indeed, two very active and very snowy winters. But again, Joe, we're looking at a set of only two in this, if you're using hurricane activity in October as the trend setter.
Correct. My buddy Phil Bazanka is on this morning on the chat board because he spent the day in the evening degenerate gambling over at Mohegan Sun and going to a concert. So I'm sure he and Mrs. B are probably a little tired this morning. I'm betting on that. So have a safe trip back, Phil. I'll talk to you later. And in the meantime, as usual, by the way, as we look at the satellite loop and this latest storm system, which wound up, with the upper trough not getting shoved out underneath us and the block breaking down, it's lifting up to our north, up into northern New England, where there's still some rain going on. There's some scattered showers locally on the radar. But it was just kind of funny, Joe. I saw an article yesterday talking about the nor'easter that just occurred and how it was similar to uh, the uh, the quote unquote perfect storm from back in 1991. And I just shook my head as I'm reading it because it's just sort of along the lines of, well, you know what? All nor'easters are similar to the one back. I mean, structurally, they're all similar, uh, but to kind of make the only thing that was missing was the hurricane that was in the in the perfect storm as opposed to this one. It's like it's trying to make news where it isn't there.
Well, you this is one of the problems with, I think, social media and the internet. Oh, thank you, dear. My wife changed the battery in my wristwatch,
Oh, good for
and
you.
so I mean, anyone who could fix lawnmowers and snow blowers or whatever. Certainly, this was a very small
And
job.
she didn't use a chainsaw to do it either. That was even
Exactly,
we
exactly.
didn't hear it revving up in the background. All right.
However, I am a little disappointed. I am a little disappointed. It is not lighting up. This is one of those watches where when you push down on the stem, the whole watch face lights up,
Right.
and it's not doing that.
Oh.
So I don't know why it's not doing that.
Technology, Joe. Technology.
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 So what was I saying?
We were talking we were talking about the cesspool of social media when it comes to weather articles, among other things.
Right. I mean, you got people on social media who proclaim that they know about certain things, and there was one time when I remember a few years ago there was this one guy who was forecasting long range forecasts and putting out uh, outlooks for major storms that are coming. We're going to have a big storm next week or whatever like that. And then we found out, well, not you and I, but it was found out that the expert was only like 14 years old.
Yeah. Well,
so
not everything is a major storm. There are minor events that do happen every so often. No, but exactly. It's ridiculous. And of course, over the last couple of days, if you've been following the models, there've been various runs of various models bringing the white stuff up into parts of the interior Northeast, and we mentioned that was late last week that that wasn't impossible, but of course everybody's the snow map postings have begun, and the claims of this is not a forecast have also begun. So
yes,
yeah, you know what? It is what it is. We can just do what we do and do it the way we do it, and I really don't. I really pay as little attention as I possibly can to what other people are doing. I used to
Yep.
I used to go into weather groups and so I don't and so on Facebook. I don't even bother anymore. I have it for quite a while. It's just I'm not I don't want to be part of that. So anyway.
Well, the only time I was ever engaged in looking at uh, a few of these weather group files on social media was when there was going to be a potential big nor'easter coming with a lot of snow and a lot of wind, and it was going to be one that was going to drop, but may make the winter weather lovers happy. And just as out of a whim, I decided I'd check on one of these weather groups to see what the chatter was in advance of the storm. And somebody posted on one of these sites. He said, "Well, this is probably going to do it. We are probably going to get a big storm." And the reason I say that is that even Joe Rayo is saying that we're going to get clobbered by this. And of course,
well, there's a nice back of the hand compliment.
No, but the thing is that I saw that I gained a reputation over the years of being a very conservative type forecaster. In other words, whenever there was a potential big storm, I'd say, well, let's take a look at this and let's take a look at that because this could cause a changeover or this might miss us or whatever like that. So this tells me that if somebody says, hey, even Rayo is going for it, it's going to happen.
It must happen.
It must happen.
It cannot not happen. Yeah, I
Yes.
used to go mainly to be able to uh, see maps that I couldn't see, because people would post stuff in groups that you couldn't post publicly, and this is before the European became where you could put it up anywhere. But until then, you had to go into one of those groups to actually see those maps because they would post it. But no matter, everybody does what they want to do. That's the way the world is. I'm not gonna cast dispersions or make judgments. If you want to go, you go. If you don't want to go, you don't go. That's all up to you. So anyhow, let's go back to the satellite. Now, a funny thing yesterday was the fact that this dry slot worked up its way up the coast, and it actually, for a lot of areas, got a fair amount of sunshine during the day on Saturday, while they poured rain over central and eastern Long Island and into New England again. And that kind of made for a sort of messy forecast on my part. Uh, I, I, I drew the line right along coastal New Jersey to about New York City, and I was a few miles off. Today, Joe, I'm looking at the loop. Kind of what I would describe as changeable skies. You look at the loop in southern New England and down along the New Jersey coast, and there's a lot of breaks in the cloud cover. But then you go to the west in Pennsylvania and in upstate New York, and particularly up in northern New England, they're getting the last of the rain. By the way, if you look down in the southeast in northern Georgia, I haven't. It's been so gloomy here the last couple of days, and from Friday, Saturday, maybe even started on Thursday. I don't remember, but yeah, it did start on Thursday. So Thursday, Friday, yesterday, and this time of year with that ridiculously low sun angle getting lower and lower, when it's cloudy during the day here, it's dark. I mean, it's not dark, nighttime dark, but you know what I mean. It's darker than it is when you get a day like this in, say, June or if it does happen, in the rare instances it happens, is in the summertime.
Could I ask a question? I've been watching the World Series, which the last couple of nights have been in
Yes.
Atlanta, and I've been seeing a lot of people in the stands watching the game bundled up. Even in the dugout, some of the ball players are
It's
bundled
cold.
up.
It's been cold. I mean, it's been
Yeah,
raw. I mean, really raw and cold. I think when I checked my thermometer last, it was 44. It was yesterday. It was mostly upper 40s to around or just over 50. Which, if you're outside, there was no wind. I mean, so if you're outside your house or going about your business, it's not bad. But when you're sitting in a stadium for 3.5 or 4 hours in a wide open stadium, even the slightest breeze
right.
makes you feel, really cold. You should remember that northeast wind going into Shea Stadium, which was brutal,
Yeah,
just
yeah,
brutal.
yes, yes. You know, when the ball went through Bill Buckner's legs in 1986, which, by the way, I happened to be there with Renato. We were at that game. We stayed till what we thought was going to be the bitter end, but we actually did see that event happen. When that happened at 12:30 a.m. on the morning of October 26, 1986, the temperature at Shea Stadium was 40 degrees.
Yeah,
Ouch. It was more like a football game than a baseball game.
that is that's yeah. I'm not doing that. All right, I'm not doing that. Just to show everybody how quiet it is around the U.S., around the watches and on the watches and warnings map, with the exception of the light blue that you see in southeastern Wyoming and into western Nebraska, which are winter weather advisories for a weak system that's going through there. And a bunch of counties up in northeastern Illinois where we have, I believe those are freeze warnings that are up for those areas. And you've got a little light green in coastal Maine and New Hampshire, which are flood advisories. It is absolutely quiet. In Alaska today, Joe, we've got winter storm warnings up in some places and winter weather advisories in others. and high wind warnings also in some places. Now, Alaska is a huge state. You could spend the whole day just covering the weather over there, but just as just as making the point that the weather across the continental U.S. or the contiguous 48 states.
Contiguous.
Contiguous. Oh, yeah, okay. It's quiet. On the radar this morning, let me give this a quick refresh. There was a batch of showers in central PA that have now moved into southeast PA and southern New Jersey, northern Maryland. Those are now on the light side. There were actually a couple of heavier showers there several hours ago, but that area is weakening. Northeastern New York, northern Vermont, northern New Hampshire, seeing some rain, and in a few places some moderate to heavy rain. Also in eastern Maine, seeing the last of some rain there, moving into the land of Tim in New Brunswick. A couple of showers up in the upper peninsula of Michigan. And then for you snow lovers, there are some streaks of snow there in southern South Dakota, southeastern Wyoming, and western Nebraska, and some scattered precip out in parts of Idaho and Utah, and a little bit down in southern Oregon. Otherwise, an absolute absence of any kind of major activity or even even moderate activity across the U.S. on the radar.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be another quiet week out there. But as we alluded to at the beginning of our show, there are some signs that we're going to be trending toward a colder weather regime in this part of the country in the days to come.
Yeah, the 18Z run of the GFS yesterday really sort of blew me away at how cold it was all the way through the 2-week period. But as usual with those long-range model runs, you get it to go back and forth with how it handles the upper air scenario going forward over the next 2 weeks. But we'll take a look at that. SPC. Absolutely absolutely quiet. No severe weather forecast the next 3 days. No areas indicated in the next 8 days. Even the fire risk is no critical fire risk. Now you're really reaching because we don't really talk about fire risk around here too often. WPC's rainfall forecast map. Now I'm curious as what they are thinking with regards to the European and the GFS have been diverging for the end of this coming week, where the upper airs are relatively similar in a broad sense, but the European is much more vigorous with a system coming down, swinging around the lakes and trying to cut off, where the GFS just keeps it weak and carries it eastward. And we'll talk about that more in a bit. But on the WPC rainfall forecast map, they actually have half an inch of liquid touching the south shore of Long Island through central New Jersey and southeastern, out at the Cape, at Cape Cod, and then going back into Virginia with heavier amounts around the Delmarva Peninsula in eastern Virginia. So my guess is that they're probably leaning more toward the European and compromising with the flatter GFS. Also showing precip amounts of 1/4 to 1/2 an inch across the deep south. It picks up more as you get back into Texas, where a couple little patch there of about 1 1/4 inch, 1.5 inches. And busy along the coast of the Pacific Northwest as weather systems try to come in. So right along the immediate coast, we're looking at some areas getting several inches, lesser amounts inland. I don't see any big snowstorms happening this week across the U.S. So from that standpoint, things are quiet. And looking at the teleconnections, kind of interesting with the teleconnections, the NAO remains negative, which it has been since the last week of September. Now it's due to pop into a positive mode soon. Now, 6 weeks is a long time for the NAO to stay negative, and I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing for winter weather lovers. If the NAO were to make for a little bit more of a progressive pattern and get weather systems to start moving again on a regular basis from west to east. But it does trend up toward the neutral line, and then you got some of the members go slightly positive, some of the members stay negative, but it's kind of in a general uptrend, but still in a relatively negative mode for the next 2 weeks. The PNA has been positive since just about October 18th or 19th, after being negative going into that. It's positive, but trending downward toward the neutral line. You got a couple of members that go negative, a bunch of members that stay positive, but they all straddle close to the neutral line. So, there's I don't see any real signal here, one way or the other as to how the overall pattern is going to go based on the teleconnections.
Well, the folks over at CPC, the Climate Prediction Center, along with putting out their 6 to 10 and 8 to 14 day forecasts, and also occasionally they put out their long range for 3 to 4 weeks. They also put out experimental forecasts for temperature, hazardous temperature conditions, hazardous precipitation, and I thought I'd bring up, if you want to give me
you have it
sharing capability.
It is
All right.
It is yours to do.
All right, so I'm going to show you this map again from the Climate Prediction Center, and this is for the risk of hazardous temperature, in this case below normal temperatures, which is valid from the 6th of November to the 12th of November.
Can I just interrupt you for a second? Why call that hazardous? Sure. It's November. Why are they calling it, quote, hazardous? Below average, yeah, okay, call it below average, but why call it hazardous? Don't you think that's a little bit strong?
Well,
it's not January. We're not talking about below zero.
Well, maybe they're implying that the temperatures will be a certain amount of degrees below normal, like maybe 10 degrees or 15 degrees below normal with this map. Okay. Anyway, they're showing an area of moderate probability, which extends almost up to the New York City metropolitan area. It encompasses Philadelphia and Washington, D.C., and much of the Ohio, Tennessee, and portions of the northern Mississippi Valley. It also includes your area, I think, Joe.
Yes, it does.
And then there's that slight probability of hazardous temperature, which encompasses an even greater area around here from the 6th to the 8th of November, which means that right about this time next week, we should be in the throes of some unusually cold weather. This, according to the Climate Prediction Center people.
Okay.
One thing I can definitely tell you with absolute certainty, with absolute surety, is that by this time next week, we're back on standard time. Thank God for that.
Glory, hallelujah. Is that the only map?
Yes, that's the only map that really shows anything. They had wind, which encompasses the Pacific Northwest, but I didn't include that here. So okay, there you go.
Switch off so we can get your audio back to normal. Okay, so let's roll to the let's roll to the European. I decided to start with that this morning, and we'll take a look. And this is going back a couple of days to Friday, to Thursday night. Before we do that, thank you, Chuck Cardillo, for hitting Super Chat. Yes, Joe, he hopes that you and I have a day filled with lots of treats. I'm going to go wash my truck after this is done, assuming that the sun comes out, which it's supposed to. And thank you for the kind words, Chuck. Most appreciated. All right, so here's the European, and of course you could see from the end of this week the blocky scenario that we've been dealing with produced the nor'easter and would have produced a second nor'easter were it not for the fact that the block is breaking down. And that was supposed to be a circle, but let's see if the pen works a bit better now on my finger. That's a little bit on the slowish side. But that upper high, this is the system that is now moved out of the Gulf states and headed up into Canada. Well, that is because the block broke down, which it did as advertised, allowed the system to lift to the north. And now we have an important development in south central Canada there. You see there's an upper low that is sitting north of Lake Superior. This is by this evening, and a closed upper high building in the western part of Canada. And this is your negative EPO, your East Pacific Oscillation going negative is when cold air begins to spread out across the United States and North America, and couple that with the fact that we've got this really nice, deep-looking trough. And this is where the GFS late this week, I don't know how you feel about this. I haven't really quite gotten a handle on it personally as to which way this is going to go. The European pulls the upper low into eastern Canada, and then a short wave dives southward. You have a very strong ridge. The flow is split in the west. When I say the flow is split, you'll see that there's a jet here that comes into the western part of the United States from Oregon and California and points south. And then you've got this northern stream here that's bringing the cold air into the Great Lakes and into the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic states. This is for Tuesday night. We're going to have a little weather front go here on Tuesday that's going to bring down the colder air. But this is a cold upper air setup. This is what you eat. This is one of many combinations that you could see as far as bringing cold air into the U.S. And this particular one, and where the European and the GFS differ, is that this next short wave that's east of Lake Winnipeg on Wednesday dives southward and carves out a cutoff low in Kentucky and Tennessee, and then lifts that cutoff up into Pennsylvania and eventually into upstate New York. And then it also leaves energy behind in the southeast early next week, the week of starting Monday, November 8th, and then that starts to lift on up. I'm not sure if that's, if that's, I mean, I see how it can happen. Then you look at the GFS, which has the similar idea, but what it does is essentially keeps everything flat, and it just overwhelms. It just overwhelms with cold air that spreads out, and that flattens the whole flow. And instead of getting a cutoff, you really just wind up with a short wave and another cold front that comes through going into this weekend. And you can see at the end of the week, instead of having a big cutoff wrapped down in Kentucky and Tennessee, you just got this trough that runs down from an upper low in Labrador. I guess one of the keys here, Joe, is what's going on in the Pacific. Both models handle the Pacific a bit differently. The Pacific crashes the ridge a bit in the western part of the United States, whereas the GFS crashes it. I'm sorry, the GFS crashes the ridge in the western part of the United States, and the European does not. So I think that's one of the big differences in how the models are handling this, is what happens up in the Northeast Pacific.
Joe, as you were talking, and I'm looking at the chat board here, very interesting question on the chat board from William Huber. He's asking us, Hudson Bay, do they get, and he has Hans snow on southeast side of the bay when it's not frozen. I'm not sure what he means by Hans snow. I think he's making a correlation to lake effect snow. And it's an interesting point. If they get at this time of the year a stiff westerly wind over, let's say, James Bay, that's the protrusion south and eastward from Hudson Bay. If they get a westerly wind, do the folks on the lee side, if there are any folks who live on the lee side of or eastern side of James Bay, do they get like lake effect or enhanced snowfall? That would be an interesting point to inquire about. But I would suspect it's the same thing. The same thing as a lake effect for the folks who live along the areas of Lake Erie and Lake Ontario, getting enhanced snowfall. And I'm not sure when James Bay or Hudson Bay starts to freeze over, but I would suppose if it were to happen, it happens now.
Yeah, I don't believe it's anywhere close to freezing over at the moment. Going longer range, at least on the GFS anyway, I'm just kind of looking, starting to crash, some short waves into the Pacific Northwest. We sort of lose that we lose that connection to Canada for a few days, but then toward the end of the forecast period, it comes back actually with a vengeance here, with a colder look going into the week of Monday, November 15th. And this is the differences between the two models, Joe, is important, because if the European is correct, this kind of harks back to the GFS run from yesterday afternoon, which kept it mostly cold for the next 2 weeks. If the Pacific doesn't start to spread a trough into the western part of the United States and flatten that ridge, it will mean for a general colder scheme lasting well into mid-month, as opposed to getting a breakdown for a few days and then maybe coming back toward the end of the forecast period. So, by the way, if you look at the GFS2 on this run on the overnight, you get a nice block that the nice blocking high starts to develop there between Iceland and Greenland. There's a very, very strong ridge that pops up going up from the Atlantic, and it's really the strongest part of that ridge is in eastern and southern Greenland out to Iceland. So that's a cold flow. There's some, there's a good connection there coming from the Arctic region and from Western Canada down into the southeastern part of the United States. So it'll be interesting to see as we get into mid-month. I've been kind of leaning on the idea that this might be a bit of a front-end loaded winter. So if that's going to be the case, you're going to want to see the pattern start to evolve now, as far as getting a colder look overall, and the models seem to be showing that at the moment.
Yeah, but I think, I'm not sure if it was you or maybe it was me mentioning last week that it might be that we get a surge of cold weather for a short while, but then I think we were looking at, or I was looking at the 10 millibar map centered on the pole,
Right.
that it kind of shears off and things start to warm up again after the middle part of the month.
Yeah, and I did notice, the other thing I noticed also yesterday looking at it, and it was kind of a little, just put a slight bit of concern in my mind about how that was going to all play out, was that I noticed that the vortex on one run, it was just on one run, started to get strong and tight. And what you don't want to see, if you're a winter weather lover, what you don't want to see is the polar vortex getting wrapped up like a tight little ball, because if that's the case, you're going to wind up keeping all the cold air up in Canada. Now, the subsequent runs after that have sort of backed away on it. We talked about this last week, about how the vortex is rotating away from Siberia and moving southward, and it's doing that all of next week, this coming week, and then it's sitting there right on the northernmost part of Greenland, right over the North Pole, and then it starts to the center actually reforms a little bit further to the north, but it's not a strong polar vortex. It's stretched out north-south, and there's a trough there that you can pick out where you get that sort of V shape right in here. So the polar vortex is trying to sort of elongate. I think it remains to be seen how this is all, that part of the equation plays out, and this is for the long term, because what happens up there takes a few weeks to play out down here, assuming it couples. We'll wait and see, because a lot of times this jumps around a little bit toward the end of the forecast period. It's pretty good about being consistent out to about 10 or 11 days, and then it starts to vary a little bit after that. So I don't know whether it's really going to migrate, the center is going to migrate back up more towards Siberia, but you got that trough down into Canada, which at least feeds down cold air into Canada. And you would think that some of that cold air would eventually bleed southward. But, again, that's one of the variables in the longer range that we're looking at here.
Well, we'll see how things pan out. You're right though. Toward the end of that run, as we get, after we get past, let's say 240 hours, things start to jump around a bit, and where one thing lands, let's say at 300 or 330 hours, is not necessarily where it's going to be when it's actually here. So
right.
You got to be very careful with these when you look at these long way. Of course, we're not speaking for the TV stations that offer to you a 15-day extended forecast.
No.
They offer it to you, and they never, Joe, after 2 weeks, they never make reference to, this is what we were saying 2 weeks ago, and it rarely ever lines up to be that way.
You're exactly correct. Timothy Veltman just sent me something. Let me see what that is. Hang on. I'm going to... he said, "This is this enough snow for snow lovers?" ? And it's something from weather.gov. So let's take a look. Thank you, Timothy. Let's see if this will work. I hope it does, because I had to switch monitors. Oh, Eureka Skelton Airport. PAZK is the symbol there, Joe. Light snow and mist. This is at 61.93 north, 147.17 west, elevation 3,287 feet. And here's the forecast. Are you ready? I've never seen this. Where'd you find this? I gotta bookmark this because this will be fun to read. So here's the forecast.
Heavy snow, heavy snow, heavy snow, heavy snow, heavy
Joe.
snow.
No. First of all, there are no advisories posted. Okay. Snow. Yeah. The snow could be heavy at times, high near 3. Southeast wind 50 to 55 miles an hour, decreasing to 45 to 50 miles an hour in the afternoon. Chance of precipitation 100%. Total daytime snowfall accumulation of 94 to 100 inches. Then here's the forecast for tonight. Snow. The snow could be heavy at times, low near around 0. Southeast wind 45 to 50, decreasing to 35 to 40 after midnight. Chance of precipitation 90%. New snow accumulation 47 to 53. And then Monday, snow. Snow could be heavy at times, high near 5. Southeast wind 15 to 20 with gusts as high as 30 miles per hour. Or maybe they'll put in a wind advisory then. New snow accumulation 17 to 23. So 94 plus the baseline. So let's do the top line because it's easier for me to add. 153, 107, up to 176 inches of snow are forecast to fall between now and Monday. And they have snow every day in the forecast for the entire week.
Incredible. You know what? If they ever reduced, and they've done it over and over again, but if they ever do Superman, the movie again, and they're looking for a site for the Fortress of Solitude, that may very well be the best place to put it right there.
Don't you think? you think? Thank you.
Skelton Airport. That's a very unusual last name. Has it anything to do with the comedian? Maybe they named it after Red Skelton. I don't know.
You know what? When I saw the name of the station and I saw Eureka Skelton, that's the first thing that came to my mind with regards to it possibly being, a connection to Red Skelton. Well, it'll be interesting to see if that's that is the case. Trips back to the past. Okay, back to the GFS. And the good news is, a week from today, we will have had. He's. Oh, by the way, Timothy Feltman says it's the Mount Marcus Baker ski area up there. Okay. I don't think I don't ski because I don't pay money to good money to fall down. But somebody must go up skiing up there. 97 up to 100 inches, and they don't even have a winter weather advisory. Too funny. Oh, good Lord.
Oh.
Yeah, all right. So here we go. Our system in the east pulls up. We'll finally get some genuine improvement for sure as we go into tonight and Monday. And you start to see those blue lines, those thickness lines, the colder air coming down from Canada. There's a nice high there into the Dakotas, spreads into the eastern part of the United States. Now, we do have a cold front on Tuesday that works through, and that basically brings in, it's going to turn cooler tomorrow, but it will turn colder later Tuesday and then into Wednesday and Thursday. So it's a nice little early season push of colder air that comes down. Now, along the southeast coast, the front stalls, and this is where, again, the two models differ, with the European bringing out a more vigorous low that actually moves up the east side of the Appalachians and has a cold rain here for late week and into the weekend, whereas the GFS keeps it so darn flat that it just stays dry all week and cold going into Saturday. Then you have into next week as the ridge in the west kind of flattens a bit. So we see temperatures moderating some and there's some kind of wave that comes out of the Gulf states that sort of meanders up the Carolina coast and offshore. And then here comes another cold front late in the forecast period where the GFS has it turning colder and that block developing again up in Greenland. And this has a more significant cold front around the middle of the month. And actually, Joe, 516 thicknesses dropping into the Great Lakes and western part of the Ohio Valley. 522 thickness to me, if that's correct.
That's pretty low for this time of the year.
Yeah.
522?
522. And then 516. I mean, look, obviously this is going to change on the next run. So we just like to have fun with these things when we see them this far out. 516 thickness, western North Carolina, western Virginia, southwestern PA, West Virginia, all 516 or less. 522 from just west of Portland, west of Boston, cutting across Long Island to to eastern North Carolina. And then I'm still at a 522 thickness. So this would be right around the middle part of November.
Well, what I could tell you is that CPC, Climate Prediction Center, has below normal on both their 6 to 10 and their 8 to 14-day outlook for our area.
Yeah.
And in fact, for much of the eastern United States. And as far as precipitation is concerned, a little swath of above normal for 6 to 10 days and 8 to 14 day back to near normal or maybe trending toward below normal. Dare I ask, you say a cold rain by the end of the week. What happens to places that are, elevated, above a few thousand feet?
The European didn't really show very much from that standpoint. I mean, you had to, really. Let me give it another look. It gave a little bit of snow to the Carolina mountains and then up, into western PA, eastern West Virginia, western PA up the mountains there. But it didn't really show, any blue. Really didn't show any darker blue. It actually shows more sleet than anything else. And it's way out, way on the western side because it takes the surface low on the map. Hang on, let me just bring it forward again. The surface low comes out of Alabama and North Georgia, moves across North Georgia. It actually has some sleet down in parts of western and central Tennessee, but it takes the low up through east. It's in eastern Virginia. You've got the high to the north and an east wind, and it's rain all the way back into western New York. I mean, even in New England, it's all rain. And the low winds up going from eastern Virginia to central PA, and then just kind of hangs around and leaves it there. So it's a little bit of a strange run, but maybe the GFS is too flat and the European is too developed. So perhaps a compromise is in order. By the way, Leon Probitsky hitting super chat today. Thank you, Leon. Most appreciated. And David Schwartz also hitting super chat, and he says the Skelton Airport in Alaska has been closed since 2003, and it's for sale. Are you interested, Joe? You're going to retire soon.
No. That goes along the same lines of the Willis Avenue Bridge when they took the old bridge down and put the new bridge up. The New York City actually offered the Willis Avenue Bridge for $1 to anyone who was interested in it. Of course, if you bought it, it was up to you to take the bridge and get it out of there. So the Skelton Airport, all I could say is, well, I'm not interested right now, but may God bless. Good night.
Yes. Yes, exactly.
The red skeleton. Now, by the way, since it's Halloween, I want to share the screen one more time. I have a Halloween-themed cartoon to share with you and everybody. And I know one person who would be really happy to see this would be your dear friend, Mrs. Bundy.
Oh, okay. That is hilarious. Okay, lady, about the food in the basket, we can do this the easy way or the Hitchcock way. That is funny. That's almost, is that a Far Side?
No, it's not a Far Side. It looks more like something out of that you'd see maybe actually no, because the print, you wouldn't see that kind of a print in New Yorker magazine, but it's something my sister sent me this morning and I got a big kick out of it. So I said, well, I've got to share this. So I'm sharing it with all of you on this Halloween. I wish I had the sounds that the birds make in the movie The Birds, because that'd be very appropriate with this.
Well,
But anyway,
you know what? Hold on.
there you go.
You know, she's always lurking. I gotta see where I put her. Is that her? Hang on. Oh, come on, Joe. Every time I have a couple of days. Nope, that's not it. She's here somewhere. Where is she? Oh. Every time I take a couple of days off from doing the show, there she is. There's Mrs. Bundy. with that fabulous hat, by the way.
Somebody, I don't want to say, because then I get into politicizing or making it political. But
no, don't make it political. Whatever you do, don't make it political.
Okay.
Well, where is Mrs. Rayo? So we have a Briller Jeopardy cooking theme with Mrs. Rayo, and it's Halloween centered.
Calling Mrs. Rayo. Calling Mrs. Rayo. Come in,
By the
Mrs.
way, the
Rayo.
reference, John Charles, the reference is not to Married with Children with Mrs. Bundy. The reference is to Hitchcock's The Birds. Okay, so just to make that clear, because he's asking for the Married with Children category characters, and no, we're different genre, different generation, different movie, different media.
I may have to use the intercom to. She's here.
Ethel to Tilly. Ethel to Tilly.
Ethel has arrived, so I'm going to pass the earpieces over to her.
Oh, we haven't seen you in
Hello.
Hi, we haven't seen you in ages. How are you?
Ages and ages. Oh, I've been well. I'm always lurking.
Oh, very good. Well, I must tell you, I put
on a little bit of Halloween garb.
Very good. 3 weeks ago, actually, it might even be longer. About a month ago, I made a chicken soup, and I've been basically feeding that chicken soup every day by refreshing the vegetables and putting new carrots, new celery, new onion, additional. And instead of chicken, I was using for a while. I was using turkey thighs, and I have to tell you, it has really evolved. It is so delicious. And I added some more chicken and carrots yesterday to it. So on this miserably cold start to my day here, I've got a nice pot of chicken soup on the stove, ready for lunch.
Oh, very good.
Yes.
Excellent.
Excellent. Indeed.
And there's nothing better than a chicken soup to keep away those nasty germs.
Yes, and some orzo also. Yeah. All right, so here we go. It's Halloween, so it's a Halloween themed Briller Jeopardy, and we are going to want to find out the top 10 selling candies during this Halloween season. If you can guess number 5, which is probably the most difficult to guess out of this, you will get 3 additional bonus points, and 6 are required to pass. Okay?
Oh, okay.
So,
all right. So
let us begin. I have my score.
Let us begin.
I have my scorecard here. Okay, so we're all set.
I'm going to say, first off, everyone's favorite seems to be Snickers.
Number 8 is Snickers.
Number 8. Okay. All right. All right. So I'm gonna pick
By the way,
the obvious.
just so you know, there some most of these are brands. Some of them, a couple of them are not brands. Okay, so just so you know.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna go with, as I said, the most obvious, candy corn.
Candy corn is number 10.
Number 10.
And
Okay.
as far as being probably the least nutritional thing
in the world,
it's number 1.
How about peanut butter cups?
Number 1 is Reese's peanut butter cups. Yes.
Okay, there you go. And I'm gonna say chocolate bars. Like regular plain type of chocolate bars.
Okay, I'm gonna have to submit this to the judges. Judges, what do you say about that? Nope, not the chocolate bars.
Oh, okay. I was trying to stay away from the brand name, like a Hershey's chocolate bar or something like that.
Well, the candy corn is not really a brand name, so that's what I was referring to.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Anyway, so Kit Kats has to be there.
No, Kit Kats are not there. No.
No. Holy moly. All right. All right. Almond Joy?
No Almond Joy.
No Almond Joy either. Twix. I have Twix upstairs.
No Twix.
No Twix. Holy mackerel. M&Ms.
M&Ms. Yeah, I was waiting for you to go to the route of M&Ms. Okay, so M&Ms is number 3. I'll give you a hint that number 2 they look like M&Ms, I think.
Number 2 looks like M&Ms. Well, Skittles.
Skittles.
I was going to get to Skittles. Yes.
Right.
Again, that to me is like right next to candy corn. I don't go there at all.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So, wow, I haven't picked very many, have I?
You've gotten 5 out of 10. 5 out of 10 so far.
Oh, I've gotten 5 out of 10. Okay. So, yeah, what's left? Yeah, I was going to say Milky Way.
Nope,
not there either. And how about Butterfinger?
I love Butterfingers, but the answer is no.
There's no. It's not in the top 10. Holy moly. Geez. Well, my favorite is Mounds, but that can't be there.
No.
Because that's dark chocolate.
Shall I help you?
Oh, so we're going to go, no, I'm going to say something like a Tootsie Roll. Or no, what's the little square ones that the kids really like? Starburst?
Starburst is number 4.
Starburst is number 4. So I have to think about what a 5-year-old would like.
Well, not necessarily. I mean, I don't know. I don't know the criteria here on how they, unless it's based on sales. But let's.
Well, Tootsie Rolls. Are Tootsie Rolls there?
Okay.
That's
well,
a good old fashioned one.
Where else would you find a Tootsie Roll?
Oh yeah, the Tootsie Roll Pop.
The Pop, yes.
How many licks are in a Tootsie Roll?
How many licks does it take to get the center of 3?
3.
Yes, that's number 9.
That would be number 9.
There are 3 left.
3 left. Well, just in generic, like a lollipop.
No. Let me give you a hint. Because after I give you the hint, you're gonna say, "God, why didn't I say this?" Can you see me?
Can I see you?
Yes,
I can see. Wait, you're breaking up.
Oh, am I? I didn't know we were together. Because I'm blowing.
Oh, a blow pop.
No.
Oh, kisses.
Thanks.
Oh, kisses. Hershey's Kisses.
Hershey's Kisses. Okay, so now you've got 2 left. Now,
the delay also throws me.
Now, I'm going to tell you from
Okay.
these are the 2 left, number 5 and number 6. Okay.
Number 5 and 6 are
I
left.
probably would
Okay.
never guess number 5. Okay.
Okay. Well,
And,
my daughter says Jolly Ranchers.
okay, well, they're kind of similar to Jolly Ranchers.
Similar to Jolly Ranchers.
I think.
Similar to Jolly Ranchers.
No, Bill Rogers, not a Heath bar.
No, that's more like an adult type thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Although I like Heath bars. Okay, this is kind of okay.
So how about like your generic like Lifesaver kind of candy?
No. Let me see. I'm trying to see how I can give you a hint for this. Okay.
What, Maria?
Okay.
Oh, gummy bears. Yeah.
No.
No.
I'll give you. Let me see if I can give you a clue. Let me see if I can work a clue out of this, because it's hard to make a clue out of this. Let's say, bitter Band-Aid children.
My hint is Maria's bitter Band-Aid and children.
It's a 3. I'm giving each word of what this is called. Bitter Band-Aid children.
Bitter Band-Aid children.
Think of other words for bitter Band-Aid and children.
Other words for bitter Band-Aid and children. Sour Patch Kids.
Sour Patch Kids. Okay, that's right. Now the remaining one, I can give you the remaining one is 2 words. I never would have thought this would have been on the list, but apparently it is. And maybe it's a regional thing. I don't know. So I'll do it the same way, although maybe the second part of this is a bit of a stretch. So I'll just say that the second part of it sort of sounds like this. All right, you ready? So, and the first word it'll be easy. The first word of this, think of the opposite. Okay, cold tomatoes. Cold tomatoes.
That's my hint. Hot something?
Hot something.
Hot. What is it? Hot like
cinnamon? Your daughter might.
No. Hot reds?
Big reds?
Well,
hot reds?
Hot tamales.
Hot tamales.
I don't know. Listen, I asked the same question, Maria. I don't know why it's there, but it is.
She doesn't know why it's there, but it is.
It's
Which be at the bottom 10, she says.
Yes, I don't disagree. Unless it's some new candy. Unless it's some new candy brand that's called hot tamales. I always heard of it.
I want to know who they asked for this survey.
I don't know. Maybe it's based on sales. I have no idea.
Could be.
Unless it's a Southern brand, perhaps. I'm going to just do a quick. Let me do.
I don't know. And
Baby
Ruth.
Actually,
Ruth wasn't in there, and Milky Way wasn't in there, and regular chocolate bars wasn't in there.
Hot tamales.
Oh, you know what?
Hot tamales actually is a candy. It's a brand. Excuse me. The original hot tamales. It's an intense, chewy, cinnamon flavored candy offering flavor charged, mouth refreshing taste, and blah blah blah. It's not like hot tamales, which is a Mexican or Louisiana, Mississippi type tamales.
Yeah.
But apparently,
I believe they sell them in the dollar boxes too.
Yeah. So apparently, it is a candy brand of some kind.
Yeah. Oh, which other one is a good one, and we didn't mention it, is peppermint patties.
See, I never liked peppermint patties, and I don't like. That wasn't my thing. I never liked that. Nestle bars aren't in there. $100,000 bars aren't in there. Nestle's Crunch wasn't in there.
It's not in there.
I like.
I want to know who
I like-
made up this list.
I like Crackle, the Hershey's Crackle.
Yeah.
I like
That's
that.
good too, right? Yes, exactly. Yeah.
All right, Renata, it was good to see you.
All right. Nice to see you too.
And
Good for a few laughs on this Halloween.
yes, and bring back Mr. Rayo so we could say goodbye.
All right, Mr. Rayo, are you there? Come on back. He can't listen because I should have brought down my either my laptop or iPad so he could have listened, but he couldn't.
Bill Rogers, you got to get some time outdoors up in southern
What
Vermont.
Is Crackle?
What is it's a Hershey's version of a Nestle's Crunch bar.
Oh, here's one of Joe's favorite. This is a chocolate Tootsie Pop, one of his favorites.
Oh, that is, I love those. I love those.
Okay.
You're one of my favorites.
Aww.
Take care, everybody.
Take care.
All right.
All right, so
Gee, it sounded like you.
Yes, we had fun. We had fun.
All right.
So just to let everybody know, there will be a show tomorrow night. There will be a show tomorrow night at 7:30 Eastern time, but there will be no Joe and Joe show this week on Tuesday and on Wednesday. Okay, so please don't send me messages on Tuesday asking me why what time is the show. There is no show Tuesday or Wednesday of this week. Okay. I don't know
if I can live, Joe. No show on Tuesday or Wednesday.
No, I know. I have some family issues I have to take care of that require traveling and time, and that is why there is no show Tuesday and Wednesday. And then when we come back on Thursday, we will be back at 8:30 Thursday evening because Joe's got a library talk, and hopefully they show up this time.
Do have. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So, everybody, thank you so much for being here on this Halloween Sunday. Thank you for all the super chat hits today. David Schwartz, Leon Probitsky, Mike McGuire, and I know I'm missing somebody. There was one more. Was it Chuck? I think it was Chuck Cardillo. Chuck, did you hit super chat today? I can't see. It's too deep into the chat and I can't pull it back up. So I thought I thanked everybody that hit the super chat board tonight.
Did you mention David Schwartz?
Yes, I did say David Schwartz. But okay. I can't see. I don't know can you see? Because I can't.
Leon Probitsky.
All right.
And that's as far as I can go. Michael
McGuire was another hit, and I think Chuck might have been Chuck. I'm pretty sure in fact it was Chuck because he's got some medical procedures got to take care of. So we wish you well. Hope the plumbing comes out clean, and we'll go and we'll just leave it at that. All right, see you guys tomorrow, and have a great Sunday. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Happy Halloween. Oh.